So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's An Introduction to Power BI webinar with myself, Daniel Booth. Just a couple of housekeeping points before we start. Today's session will last about 30 to 40 minutes, and the session is being recorded so that it's available to view on demand. All attendees all the lines are set to mute and listen-only mode and will remain so for the duration of the webinar to avoid any unnecessary noise interference. Finally, if you've got any questions throughout the session, please click the questions button on the right-hand side of your screen. A new pane will pop up, and if you type in your question there in the top box and click ask. Feel free to submit any questions at any point during the presentation, and I will answer each one offline after the webinar. At the end of the webinar, we'll also provide you with specific contact details for any questions you may have on any of the specific requirements relating to your organisation. So just to give you a brief agenda of what we're going to go through this morning, we're going to look at what Power BI is, common reporting and BI problems organisations encounter, how Power BI addresses all these issues. We're then going to do a product demo, going through just a basic customer card, get customer-based reporting. We're then going to go through how to share reports within an organisation. There's a number of different ways that you can do that. And finally, how MANs can help you enhance your reporting capabilities. So, what is Power BI? Well, it's a reporting tool. It's a business analytical tool, as you may well know. But the different elements of it, it's very, very visual. So it's not in your old sort of Excel-based reporting, that dashboard, graphs, etc. Extremely visual. It's interactive, so you can add filters and very quick filtering through all aspects of all reports, allows you to drill down and get to the data that you need to see, all from the one report. It's live, which is a massive point. It connects to live multiple data sources, which we're going to go through shortly, for up-to-date reporting. It's mobile, which allows you to access the reports on the go. The mobile app, a dedicated Power BI mobile app, allows you to see the information that you need to see, either looking directly at the web page or via specially configured mobile views. It's web-based, so you don't need everybody to have a desktop client. You can put it on your Office 365 licenses and then access it via the web. And one of the big things, it's collaborative, so it allows users from all areas of the company, of your organisation, to have access to, and this is a key phrase that I use when I'm talking about Power BI, to have access to the right information at the right time. It allows people to see exactly what they need to see, not only from an overall business point of view, but with regards to day-to-day running of operations within their organisations. So, moving on to common reporting problems, and I'd like to think we've all experienced some of these, if not all of them, in the past. So a lot of the issues that major organisations have around reporting are you have a multiple data system with different things in different places, making consistency in reporting very difficult. Reliance on employees creating reports manually themselves and updating every month. So you're always reliant on other people to be able to produce the reports that you need to see. By the time a report has been created and circulated, the information is out of date. Almost chasing your tail on reporting. By the time you've gone through your day-to-day tasks, got to the point where you're reporting, you're almost at the end of the month and you're starting again with new information relating to the following month. That means that your reporting is reactive instead of proactive. Any organisation needs to be able to see issues as they are arising, or potential strengths or weaknesses as they are developing. Reports can be emailed to anyone with regards to a problem. You've got no control who sees what report or the data behind that report. Quite often there's multiple people seeing multiple data sources and all translating it into their own sort of versions. Report isn't available on all devices. Absolutely, everybody's experienced this, where you only get it on email, so you have to have a connection to see it. And one of the biggest things that I've encountered in speaking to customers that they encounter, no one version of the truth. Different people will produce different data outputs, very sort of reliant on what they want other people within their organizations to say, and not full versions. Therefore, people can take different ideas away and different answers from the same data. What Power BI, and the biggest thing about Power BI is it sort of takes away this one version of the truth. So how does Power BI address all the problems that we've just gone through? Well, the multiple data systems. Power BI enables multiple data sources to be loaded into the one place. Relationships are then created between the sources, allowing for 360 view reporting in one place, covering all of your data sources. Reliance on employees creating reports. Well, once the report is loaded into Power BI online, reports can be scheduled for auto refreshing on an hourly, daily, or weekly basis. That means you do not have to rely on an employee going in, updating the data. It's all done automatically for you. By the time a report has been circulated and created, the information is out of date. Yeah, absolutely. So Power BI can link to the live data sources, which means the reports are as current as what you want them to be. So if you wanted them weekly, then you know that's going to be done. If you wanted them every couple of hours, you know the data is going to be as up to date as it can be. Reactive instead of proactive. Well, the Power BI reporting allows you to see your month-end reports developing throughout a month. You can keep them there. You can see them. You can see numbers updating. You can see anything you want to, any of the elements across any of the tables within the ERP systems, actually building up at any one time. So you can you can see the strengths and opportunities and weaknesses as they are developing, allowing for quicker decision making within your organizations. Reports can be emailed to anyone. Well, on Power BI, you can share reports with users. This means that they don't actually get to see the source data, but they see the report. That allows, you can see up-to-date information, but they cannot drill down or amend or cut up a report. It is how the actual producer of the report wants them to see it. Is it available on all devices? As we went through on the previous slide, Power BI has mobile and tablet compatibility, including a dedicated app, which means all reports are available anywhere. And the one thing I can say is that the mobile app, it does read well, and all the filters and all the functionality that you get on the web or on the desktop do carry across onto the mobile app. And one version of the truth. As you can cover the multiple data sources, Power BI reduces the risk of different areas of the business providing their own reports where information may be hidden. So it does address the common issues that most organizations have around general reporting. So moving on to the demo, what are we going to see in Power BI today? Well, we're going to import some data. I'm going to import some customer data from our GP system, test GP system, which is SQL back. We're then going to create a basic data relationship between two tables within GP. We're then going to add another data source. So I'm going to use CRM to then add some data from CRM, and we're going to review other data sources available that you can always add in. So we go into Power BI. That's what the screen looks like, general screen. You go to get data, and I'll click on more. Within a second, this will pop up. Now, these are all the data sources that you can link to Power BI. There are a huge number of them, but you can use a search bar. I'll go onto SQL and SQL Server database. Quick connect. So at this point, you would need to type in the SQL Server that you are looking at. So I will put in the SQL Server. You also get to choose what data connectivity mode that you look at. So I'm going to choose direct queries that will, as it says on the tin, directly report into that server. You can choose to import the data into the desktop model. That obviously takes a little bit longer, as that means that all the data is actually held within the model, but this direct query will just look at the SQL Server. Click OK. So what that's done now, that has brought back every database table on the SQL Server. So You need to have an idea of where you're looking at, but I know that for this demo, I'm looking at our enhanced test system here. Click on that. Takes a little while to open because there are a number of tables within this. Then, as you can see, you get all the tables that are within that database. So I don't know if any of you know that, but there are a large number of tables within the SQL on GP. Obviously, you'll need, if you don't know which they are, we'll be able to help you with this. But I know for the customer tables that I'm looking at, and search for the table at the top, 102, and there it is. So if you click on the tick box at the side of that, what it actually does over on the right-hand side is preview the fields that this is going to bring across. So I know this is our customer table. You can preview, so you can go through, look at each one, decide what you want to take. So I know I want to bring that across, so I click on load. Takes a short while. This is now creating the connection to the SQL database, and in about 5 seconds time we'll return all the tables that are in there, which will appear on your right hand side here. So these are all the fields that are against that table, against the customer table. So how do you start creating your report? Well, what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to show our customer base on a map. So using the zip postcode, I'm going to drag and drop that into PowerBI. Gives a little second, and that's going to return in a table all the zip codes. Now, one thing that PowerBI does do, it also highlights where your data isn't exactly of the quality that it should be, as you can see here, but it's only as good as what data you've got in your system. I'm just going to expand that out so it looks a bit better. But a list of zip codes isn't exactly what I want it to be. So looking at the visualizations here, we have map. So I can click on map, and then the map comes up. If I put zip into location, give it a second, as you can see now, all these green dots state where our customers are based according to the zip code within our GP system, all over the shop. Now that's great, you know, that looks okay, quick thing, doesn't really tell me much, it's a load of green dots over a map. So what you can then do is start building this up and looking at what you need and what you need to see. So dependent on what fields you use within your customer header, you could drag sales territory in, for example, as legend. So we've got some test sales territories here over on at the top as legend, and as you can see now, they've started updating the map as to where these places are within the map. Again, all it is there is just a number of different colored dots now. So I want to look at salesperson ID. So I can drag that in at the side here. So now these are all the salespeople IDs that are within our GP system. If I now click on JO, for example, now you're getting a bit more detailed information. So now that is any customer account in GP which has a salesperson JO shown on a map by sales territory. Brilliant. Quick, you need to do it there, and on the left hand side you choose that and the map automatically updates. So all these tables on this page are linked. You think, right, okay, maybe that's great, but again, I need to know who these are. So we can drag in at the side of there, ship to name. So now this has automatically done where these are any salesperson ID with JO on a map. So if I went onto NSP Scotland, for example, that now drives directly straight into where that customer is on the map. So you've got a customer analysis, you can start using any fields that you need to use at all, which are on that customer header, you can look at. So we've now got that, great, and it's just a quick basic customer analysis, but really that's just telling me what, just where the customers are. So the next thing I want to look at, and this is where your reports develop via Power BI. I want to say, right, well, actually, I want to get current balance on there, which is a different GP table. So now what I want to do is look at this, have this information, but also bring in a second table. So I can either go back to get data and do exactly the same as what we did before, or I can click on recent sources and all the recent sources that we've got are there. So I'll just click on that. And again, in the same way as before, I'm going to open up the enhanced database. A little time, all the tables come back as they did before, and go into the search box, and for data and current balances, it's the RM20101 table. Again, you click the preview. You don't need to click the preview. You can just load it in if you know exactly what you're looking for. But once you've done that, click load. Again, it asks you, do you want a direct query import? I'll use direct query. I'm going to show you at this point, once this is loaded, a common mistake that people make on Power BI. So that table's loaded. As you can see, the table in alphabetical order is now there. So I want to bring in current transaction amount against these customers. Now what I can do is drag it into the table with ship to name. Just drag it at the side. Now that is given the overall balance of 3.012 million against every customer. That is a total in our test system of the age debtors at the time. But because I've dragged it in, what the system does, even though GP knows that's linked to a customer, Power BI at this precise moment in time doesn't know that that's linked to the first table that I loaded, the RM00102 table. So what you have to do in Power BI, and this is extremely important, and this is where you start really getting into the sort of the depths of Power BI, is create relationships between the tables. So to do that, click on Manage Relationships and New. So this will bring down a drop-down box. You could have one table, 15 tables. It will bring down all your tables that you've got. So if I click on 102, the system automatically will try and find a relationship between the two. And as you can see here, it's highlighted or grayed out customer number against customer number, which is a relationship you want to make. It also says that this is a relationship many to many. Cross filter direction is both, so that if you update one report, it also updates others, which you always want to see. Click on OK. That makes sure that is active, and then click on Close. And if you look here, now these are updating, and they have now updated by customer because of that relationship to the debtor, the customer table there. The relationship is created, it's looking up customer number, so it can look up your first table against your second table and bring back common data over the two of them, which is fine. So once that's done, you think, right, great, well, that's that. I'll take that off. And as you can see, if you take off that filter, this table will update. And that shows the total balance now of every customer in our GP system coming to the 3.012 million that you saw before. So with that information, you now think, right, well, what I'd like to see is this map with current transaction amount. So I can click on and drag the current transaction amount field into this map now. Let it do its thing. So what this is doing now, this is using exactly what that was there before, but it's sizing the dots or the colors by what the current transactions amounts are. So if I now click down on JO again as a salesperson, you can see the different sizes of dots compared to what the debtor amount is. So for example, biggest dot by far there, that should be speedy support. So if I click down on speedy support, that drills down into near Manchester, near Ashton, Makerfield. So you've now got a report that looks at a map, that looks at a table, looks across two tables and updates both of them as you so wish. Now, bearing in mind, again, from what you've seen here, it's not just these tables here. You can do this for your suppliers. The same logic applies for GL transactions that you may want to do. Chart of accounts, you can link your GL to your chart of accounts. Absolutely, anything within the tables can be done in similar sorts of reporting, which is great. But at present, all we're looking at is GP, really. So what we now want to do is introduce a second outside source. I'm going to introduce, we use CRM internally for our opportunities and management within MMAN. So what I want to do now is take a test system of our CRM and bring that into this report from an overall point of view. So I'm going to get data, more. And again, our CRM is actually a SQL back table, so I can equal. Different server name. Again, direct query. Now you will get a separate message here, what comes up when you do the warnings. You should do in a second, which will say, are you sure and are you happy that you're using two different data sources in the same, and all the security questions that you got that. But if I go into here now, I want to use our filtered account. So what I'm trying to do now is link our CRM system to our GP system. There has to be a common reference field, and that common reference field is the account ID, the account number. But we hold, for example, sector name, industry name, subsector, things like that in our CRM system that we do not hold in GP. And what I want to do is bring that into the report as well. So once that's done, again, very similar to what we looked at before, click load. As I say, you get a potential security risk there. Are you sure you want to build this? Absolutely, yeah. Now again, whilst this is doing it, this could be any kind of data source. It could be Business Central or DBC, SQL spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets, Smartsheet, SharePoint, absolutely anything it can be. All you need to remember to do is have that common reference field against all what you want to link so that you can link the reports and tables. So again, that's been loaded. That, because it's alphabetical, will be at the top there under filtered account. And what I want to do now is, again, to make sure this works correctly, is create a relationship between our filtered account tables and our data tables. A second to load. So I want customer number there, and as you remember from the first time, that because the table name, the field names were the same, it created an automated relationship. In this occasion, it doesn't, because the table names are slightly different. So I want account number here, which is with the name of the field within our CRM system. Again, many to many. Again, cross filter direction needs to be both, and okay. That will add on. It comes across as active. So what I want to do is add in the sector name against these customers. So if I just expand the filtered account tables, and scroll down, too many clicks on that. It does take a little bit of time to open because there are a number of fields within there. So I want to look for our MH sector name. And first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag that in as a separate filter here. So if I take JO out and just have it as everybody again, you get all the sector names here. So if I now want to look at our NFP base, I can click on NFP. It brings it out. These are all the customers here that are classed as NFP with balances on, and all the salespeople. So if I wanted to look at NFP by salesperson, I'm probably going to choose one that doesn't exist now, or a postcode doesn't exist. Yeah, I have done. But as you can see, you can filter it down, and if a postcode was there for DB, it would have come up. But that's what we're doing, and that is now you can do it by sector name. So what I want to do now is actually add that sector name into this list as well, so you can build up your list by different titles. And now we have this list which shows ship to name, value, sector name as well. And you can move the values around. So if I wanted sector name at the front, do it like that. You can also, against any of the tables, you can click on headers and that will sort it by value. Obviously, the more data you've got, longer it takes, but that's instant. And so you've now got one table with everything on. But if I wanted to just purely look at NFP again, you click it on here and this will update to purely NFP in a second. So you've now got, that's actually your total age debt by sector without realizing it. And so you can, again, you're just using it, and as your understanding of it develops, there's so many different things you can do on that. But what I also want to look at is MH subsector as well. So on this report here, really the sales territory, not that happy with that. What I want to have is subsector in. So I can actually drag that now into that table. And you get the different subsectors down. So if I choose sports and hospitality and leisure, you're now getting your different values, size values by your subcategories as well. So everything that you've got on the one place is extremely interactive, extremely intuitive, and you can decide and use these to exactly show the information you want to show. This page, for example, might be really good for an internal report or internal thing. A sales guy could look at where all his accounts are and then plan the best efficient way of going around in account managing. You could also have sort of revenue values on here, customer values, so that you can target your marketing depending on different sectors and different sorts of spends and who spends what and where. You can use that through any of the modules. So it's very specific to you what you can do, but as you can see, everything links together. But yeah, you can see that, and that's a map. But you may have it here where you think, actually, I don't want a table here. Although it looks really nice, I might want a graph. So within visualizations from that table, you can actually click on graph, the different visualization up here. And what that is actually showing you now is debtors by sector here. But maybe you don't want customer in there because customer looks a bit, you know, I don't want ship to name. I actually want subsector in there as legend. So that now, just in that one graph there, you've actually got your age debt by sector and by subsector. It's very easy to flip them around. Your accesses, you can add in any field that you wanted to see from that. So from what was a very, very basic table, you've actually got some really good sort of analysis on where your debtors are, what sectors they relate to, who the salespeople are, and things like that straight away. So as you can see, it all pulls together really, really well. And I can't stress enough, all I'm doing here is looking at GP table and a bit of CRM. I'm scratching the surface on that. It can be any tables with anything that has a common reference between the two, that links it all together, that pulls that information for you, not only from your financial point of view. So what I'll show you shortly on the reports that we've done is the financial stuff, but you can use them for your sales teams, you can use them for your marketing, you can use them for your customer service, you can use them for any part of the business that you feel will benefit from being able to see visualizations of your data in any of the sources that you've got. Now, one thing just to note as well, under view, all these are set to web layout, but you do have a form layout section here. And what this does, this will look at your table visualizations here and allow you to drag them into a form format for best optimal viewing. Do drop them in and you can resize them as required. So if you just want on this, when somebody accesses this from the mobile app just to see a map, you can show that. And you can flip between the two. It doesn't affect your desktop layout. That remains the same. So you can have two different views for what device people are going to be looking at. So that really is how to use Power BI and link tables straight away. So next point is, how do you share them? How do you share these reports? Well, you can save the PBX file that we've just been working on, or you can, via the publish button, which is here, you can publish them online. That allows you to share them online via Office 365. If you're using your desktop files, it would need to be emailed. I use direct query then, that links in, but in some cases you're not able to do that. You need to import the data. If that is the case, you've got to bear in mind the data files can be quite large depending on what the data sources are. If you're sharing online via publishing, users can nominate who they wish to have visibility of the reports. You can schedule the auto refreshes, and you can create dashboard from pages within reports. So on the PBX I was looking at, we could have multiple pages, but you may just want somebody to have access to one page. You can create a dashboard of that page, which just allows them to see very quick visuals from an extract of the report that you've created. One other thing to note is fully also integrated with PowerPoint from online. So you can export pages into a PowerPoint file, into your board packs, into your management reports, however you want to do it. And online reports obviously can be accessed via Office 365 via the mobile app. So reporting examples next. What I want to do is go through how we at Enhance can help you in your reporting requirements and what we've done so far. So one thing we have been able to do is link all of our product portfolio into Power BI reporting. And if I just go onto our online Office 365, onto Power BI, go into favorites. What I want to show you now, so we've got a GP one, we've got an I365 one, and we've got an NFP one, which links into Business Central at present. So for our GP customer base, if I just open this report, this takes a little while to open, mainly because it wasn't a direct query, which I regret now, and the fact that there are about 14 pages on this report. It does go through every element of what a financial report or an analysis would need. You've got 15 different tabs on it, as you can see here. It takes about 20 seconds to open, and this is actually set for an auto refresh. So this refreshes at 11 o'clock every day and at 4 o'clock every night to pick up any transactions that have gone through the system. But this is what you get. So this is an income statement page by month with revenue by period, gross margin by period, profit by period. You've got your GL codes, you've got different analysis codes that you need to do, and the categories there. All the reports I've drilled down, so if I wanted to look under revenue, what they were, you can click on that, and then it gives different subsectors. So it can cater and will cater in a very clean manner for any hierarchical reporting that you've got around your chart of accounts. Got an EBITDA by month. I'm not going to run through every single one, but as you can see, different graphs, different things. Go to a revenue analysis one. You can see there revenue by type. It shows trends. It shows over the top. Expense analysis. shows where your expenses are by type, top 5 expense categories there that aren't salary related, all your different categories like that. And like I say, on all these, you can export them, put them into Excel. You got the customer ones, which was something that we've just gone through, bit of a basic customer on this, where you can filter down by city, whatever you need to see. Again, what Power BI, it's only as good, and I know this is taken as read, but Power BI will only bring back the data that's in your system. So it does highlight areas that may need tidying up. We've got debtors reporting. Again, the one thing that is really good about these, and you know, a lot of them are pretty basic, but they've got these filters that you can use, that you can drill down, and it takes you to that information straight away, instead of you having to either do that yourself manually or run many different smart lists or things like that. So we've got the daybooks as well. Daybooks in Power BI, a lot more interactive than daybooks within GP. You can filter down onto transaction types and things like that, which is great. For our NFP and BC base, we have done very much the same sorts of reports. So debtors report looking directly at BC, you know, balance due, credit limit. One good thing about BC is that we can actually have links back from Power BI into Business Central directly from Power BI. Business Central also has a mobile app as well, so you fully can just interact between the two systems without any worrying. Again, because we've done a specific SOFA reporting pack for BC, you can use your dimension codes within BC to have your SOFA reporting that you need, fully SORT compliant. You've got exactly the same information as what you had on the GP, all the different tabs. All these would be easily droppable into your SORT report and include the visuals that you may need to drill down on further. Not to forget our I365 base. Now, I365 is a little bit different, that most companies' reportings will be pretty very sort of dedicated to them. However, just to show you that we can do this sort of report on Power BI, this is looking at a supplier report from our I365 base, using exactly the same logic as what you've seen before, bringing it in. So whatever our I365 customer base requires, we will be able to provide for you via Power BI. So finally, that's really it. So to wrap up what we've got some webinar sessions either available on request or on demand, and we have some further webinars coming up, mainly targeted towards our GP base. So one thing I would like to just draw your attention to is the customer event on the 23rd of May. If you haven't registered already, please do so. I'll be doing a similar presentation there on that day with more emphasis on our Power BI GP reporting pack. But there are a number of presentations happening throughout the day on a number of different topics from our product experts. So it'd be good to see as many of you there as possible. And I'm always happy to have a chat over a coffee or something stronger about financial reporting after that. Should you wish to register for any of these events, please register at www.enhance.com/events, as you can see there. Finally, if you have any questions on what you've seen at all, or just want a general chat, the contact details are there. I've included my email address. More than happy to speak to you directly about Power BI reporting and how Enhance can help you achieve your reporting goals from what you've seen so far. Finally, when the webinar closes, a survey will pop up containing a few questions. Be appreciated if you could spend 2 minutes just to answer these. Please be as brutal as possible. I don't take offence. And finally, thank you very, very much for your time. Hope you found today's session productive and look forward to hearing from you in due course. Thank you very much.